Hi,
Hello, is that Jason?
this is Jason. This is Brian. How's it going?
Yeah, yeah, it's all right. I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm very good. And Brian, how's it
Good,
going with
good.
you? Brian Tatler.
Yeah, it's going well. We're touring. We've been touring since April, and we're off to America on Friday to start a tour of America and Canada. A lot of dates in Canada this time, so that'll be good.
And that's interesting, When's the last time you did come to Canada?
We came. I think it was last year, and we did about 4 dates in. We did Toronto, Montreal, possibly Quebec. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we've done a few, 4 or 5 different cities in Canada. But this time there's about 12. There's some places I've never been to and never really even heard of on this tour. It's like the smaller places, I guess. But we're really covering Canada this time.
And what's great about this, I mean, you are staying in Canada for a little while, from August 25th to September 9th. And, this
Yeah,
is great for Canadian fans of Diamond Head.
yeah. Well, if they don't get to see us this time, they'll have missed out because it's been a long time coming. I mean, probably some of the fans have been waiting for us to come for years, and this is the first time. I mean, the band's been going over 40 years, and we've never been to some of these places, so perhaps they've been waiting all these years to see us. So it should be good.
And Brian, how you keeping busy these days? You're playing Diamond Head and it's going very good and touring, but besides the touring stuff, you still doing a lot of work.
Well, I'm a full-time musician, so I don't have a day job or anything. But yeah, Diamond is pretty busy. We've been writing the next record, and that kind of started in January. So I've been getting together with the singer, and we've started rehearsals. Then we have recorded the drums already, and then we will continue to record guitars and bass when we get back from the States mid-September. Um, Beside that, yeah, it's just normal things, doing things around the house and doing the shopping and visiting my mom who's in a care home now. So, I keep busy. And I practice. I also teach guitar, but I practice every day. So I'll try and find at least an hour when I can practice and hopefully come up with some ideas.
Well, that's awesome, and you should have. You're probably not having any difficulty playing what you played, 25 years ago, so everything should be still good.
Yeah, but I think you have to practice to maintain the technique. I find that if I don't, I find it harder to play certain difficult, complicated things. I've always had to put the hours in, put the time in.
Because some of the solos are, elaborate, from what you did.
Yeah, yes, I think so. Yeah, I've always, I suppose, pushed to play as well as I possibly can, and I don't take the easy option.
Now you guys released some new promo videos that we've seen, and I love them. I think they're represented the band very well. How long did it
Cool.
take you to film the video? Like all the reasons you live.
Yeah, that was done in one day. We just went down to this location in Ipswich, where it was a big tunnel thing that they used to test the jets with. They would back the jets. It was at some RAF base, and they would test the jet engines in this tunnel. And we found it as a location that you could hire and filmed it. Filmed it there in a day, and it was great. And we got some good photos out of it, and the video looked good, so that worked really well. That's one of my favourite songs off the last album, All the Reasons, and that's probably one of the reasons we picked it for, like as a release, as a single, as a video, that kind of thing.
And another video too, I find very interesting is Diamonds. You have much to do with that,
Oh
like
yeah,
finding the archive footage of you guys.
yes. Well, that's stuff I've kept over the years. I've I'm there isn't a lot of footage of the early days of the band and the original lineup. People didn't have video cameras so much as they do now. You know, everybody's got cameras now, haven't they, on their phones and little GoPros, and it's easy to video anything. But in those days, you couldn't get things. I mean, the earliest footage of the band is from 1979, and that was where we had to go to a little like TV studio, and they filmed us in black and white with these great big cameras and all that. And that's the earliest thing I've got. And I kept hold of lots of this stuff. And when we did the track Diamonds, because it's kind of singing about the history lyrically, I thought let's use some old footage if possible, and mix it in with a live performance of the band lineup how it is now. And it seemed to work really well. A friend of ours called Roman, who lives in Las Vegas, edited it together for us and did a great job.
Very good job. One other question,
Yeah.
like when you look at the self-titled album, you guys pressed on vinyl. That's incredible, to have a Diamond Head vinyl.
Yeah, well, it's the first vinyl we've done since '93, and it just seemed to have come back into fashion, and we were getting people asking us, are you going to do it on vinyl? It'd be great. So we thought about it, and we thought, okay, well, we'll have 500 copies done, and see how it goes. And we've got a few left. We've probably got about 80 copies left, and that's it. The rest have sold, and I would imagine that last few will go over these next few weeks in the US and in Canada. People seem to really get back into vinyl, haven't they? It's become a resurgent interest, and to get them signed by the band and all that is, I think it's really, really great, and it's just nice to own something like that, isn't it?
It is, and have you listened to the vinyl copy of your album yourself?
Yes, when we got some acetates, they sent us about 5 or 6 acetates, and I listened to one of those just to make sure it sounded, and there was like sort of no background noise or anything. But I don't really have a record player, and I went to a friend's house who got a good, £10,000 sort of setup, and I thought I'll have a listen to it on that, and it sounded really good. So we had to then give them the green light to press 500 copies.
Yeah, well, that's good. And did you notice much of a difference versus the CD version of it and the record version?
I like hi-fi, but I don't really spend money on things like that. So I didn't notice much difference. I like the sound of CDs. I'm not really that into, vinyl versus CD or MP3s and all that. I think if it's well produced, it should sound good on anything.
Right.
If it's even on the radio in the car, if it's well produced, you can tell it'll sound good on that.
Now, Brian, what you bring out on tour with you? Like, how many guitars and what type of amplifiers?
Well, when we're doing a tour like this, I only bring one guitar because of the cost.
Right.
We just bring one bass. So I bring a Gibson Les Paul, and this is a 96 model that I'm using at the moment. And that's it. And then we hire gear. I've been hiring Engel amps. I've been using a Steve Morse on the road. At home, I've got some different amps. I've got a couple of Marshalls, and I've just bought a Cornford amp, and I bought an Orange amp. But we can't really cart things like that around the world. We don't have the money, so we can travel pretty light. We just take a guitar each and hire the back line, really. And that's the best way we can do it. We don't have any crew either. We have to, set everything up ourselves and break it down and put it in the van and drive to the next venue.
Right. Like back in the day, still today.
Yeah, pretty much back in the early days. I mean, we made the mistake of bringing on crew and having a tour bus, and hiring PAs and all that, and we obviously didn't have the money or the sales for it, and it ended up being a financial nightmare, really. So I think we all learned from that lesson, or at least I did. So now we do things as cheap as we can, and we all get paid, and I think that's the main thing.
And it keeps the band going, which is important.
It does. I don't think anybody would want to do all that work, 10 hours in the van and that for nothing.
It's true.
Finances have to be there to pay wages for the band and pay for hotels, work visas, diesel,
right,
van, flights, it's agent fee. It soon mounts up.
And a lot of people don't maybe realize all this, work that has to be done and looked into to make a tour like this.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. It's all right when you're a local band, you can just drive around to the venue and all that, but when you've got to fly 6,000 miles or something, it adds expenses on.
Absolutely.
I've seen bands, turn up with, a rack of guitars and their own in-ear monitor guy and, all this 3 stacks of Marshall each. And I think, you wait till you've got to come and play, in the UK or something, or you'll have to learn to strip all that back and just take one guitar. You learn eventually. I mean, we've been doing it long enough.
Absolutely. And Brian, like any new members in the band, last time I interviewed you was in 2011, so there's lots that's changed probably.
In that case, we've got a different singer and a different bass player since 2011. So Nick has gone now, and we've got Rasmus in. Raz joined in 2014, and Raz is on the last album. So that's been a big change. Raz is fantastic, and I think he suits Diamond Head perfectly. And then last year, our bass player Eddie, who'd been with us a long, long time, decided he'd had enough of the touring and the sitting in vans, and you know what it's like.
Right.
So he handed his notice in, and we auditioned some bass players from the Midlands and picked this guy called Dean Ashton, who's fantastic, and he's been with us like 12 months now, just over, and he's doing the tour. So it's great. It's such a strong, powerful band. Everybody's so good in the lineup. It's a strong band, so I'm happy with this lineup.
And the famous Metallica questions, which always people ask you, do you listen to the Metallica versions of your songs sometimes? And
I have done, yeah, of course. I'm fascinated. If someone wants to cover your song, it's fascinating to hear what they've done with it. And Metallica, they're a good band. They can do covers pretty easily by the look of it. So they did good versions, I think. Powerful. They're exciting. I've played on stage with them quite a few times over the years, doing, Am I Evil or Helpless or one of the songs. And we did that 30th anniversary bash with them at the Forum in San Francisco, and we played all 4 songs on stage, so that was great. It was a good night.
Well, that's awesome too, and they helped put Diamond Head on the map, at least in Canada too, and North America.
Yes, definitely. I'm sure without Metallica, we may not still be going today. I think it's been a huge help that they've name-checked the band and given us a lot of, publicity and exposure through covering the songs and citing us as an influence. I think it's been a very positive step for the band.
And like that, finding new fans, of the generations of today, rediscovering you or first discovering you.
Yes, definitely. Though I would imagine a lot of people, hear the Metallica version first, and then because they've sold millions of copies of it, so then they probably check out the small print and think, oh, it's a song by a band called Diamond Head, and then they may look us up or realize we're one of the the new wave of British heavy metal bands, and find out more and more about the band through websites and things like that. So yeah, it is a way of reaching fans. Whatever you can do to help, helps.
Right.
So it's definitely helped Diamond Head. I think a lot of the new wave of British heavy metal bands would love to have been covered by Metallica, bands like Angel Witch or Tigers of Pantang or Saxon. I bet they would have loved to have had a song covered.
Absolutely.
We were very lucky.
And
to have four.
That's true. And are you aware? Are you aware that Sirius Radio, like, do you take a listen to that, like XM Sirius, and they do play Diamond Head quite a bit, on the.
Oh, that's great. That's great. No, I don't. Over here in the UK, I don't think we get that station, but that's great. If people like it and want to come to the gigs and buy the records, then all power to them.
Well, excellent stuff. And Brian, I hope you have an excellent tour of North America, and welcome back to Canada, August 25th.
Thank you. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Nova Scotia, and you're not coming in my territory.
Oh.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Well, maybe one day.
I certainly hope so. Yeah, it's another like 19 hours from Montreal.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, quite a way then.
Yeah, I can't do the drive to your concert, unfortunately.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to either.
But I will promote your concert for sure.
Thank you. All right, cheers, Jason.
All right, you have a good one and good luck.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.